meeting. We have a few things on our agenda, so you can announce that as usual. First order of business will be the approval of the meeting minutes from May 6, 2026. Mr. Landry, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Mr. Shamel? Sure. Can I get a motion that we approve those minutes? Second? All in favor? Okay. First thing under old business, site plan review SB 26-007. Applicant requests Tina Flores, owner of 178 Glens Street, tax map number 302.20-31-6, seeks approval to convert vacant upper floors into 4 two-bedroom units. This has been tabled for the last 2 or 3 meetings. I propose that we deny this and they can reapply when they're ready to go.
Deny without prejudice.
Excuse me?
Deny without prejudice.
Deny without prejudice. Can we get a motion on that? Motion. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Planning Board, acting as a board of site plan review, hereby deny with prejudice.
Without
prejudice.
Without.
Without prejudice, site plan approval for the project identified as Tina Flores, owner of 178 Glen Street, tax map number 302.20-31-6, as it has been tabled for the last 3 meetings.
Take a second. All in favor? Next order of business, site plan review SB 26-015, architecture review AR 26002, Kelly Feldman and Adam Feldman, owners of 146 Maple Street, tax map number 303.17-11-27, seek site plan review and architecture review approval for the conversion of a 2-unit structure to a 4-unit structure with the addition of a rear deck and staircase to provide access to the upper floors. Anyone here representing that application? A motion to table that.
Next, make a motion that we table the applications of Kelly Feldman and Adam
Can I just request that all board members use the microphone as
Yeah.
much as possible?
Have you had a phone? We just called you.
Perfect. The first meeting only took 3 minutes?
Come up and introduce yourself, please.
Yep.
My name is Adam Feldman. I'm husband of Kelly Feldman, the owner of the property.
Sir?
in Maple.
Lift that mic up a little bit.
Tell us about your project.
Sure. FYI, my architect is parking, so if there's civic parking questions, I'll also be prepared. So my project is currently a 3-zone, approved as a 3-unit building. Currently, only 2 of those units are viable, the first floor and the second floor. And our goal tonight is to activate the 3rd story and actually build a bonus unit up there. So that's why we're actually trying to come forward. So it'll end up net as a 4-unit building. In front of that zoning, and we've got everything approved from that perspective. And now we're here tonight for architectural review and planning, site plan approval. And in addition to that, I know it's not a part of your purview, but just as an FYI, I'm working with the city of Jeff Flag to integrate some HCR funding here. So this is a city partnered development.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this application? Nina?
So you said it's already approved for minutes? I'm not sure about that.
I mean, that's how it's taxed. It's approved as a 3-unit
district. So if I remember the plans correctly, you're going to take that rear deck and basically rebuild the whole thing, extend it all the way up, and then two dormers in the back, replace those windows with doors.
That's correct, yeah. And the image that you have in the packet, that's an old image, so we actually already taken down that current stairs, those exterior stairs for safety concerns.
They were not very safe, probably.
Correct, so we proactively just did that independent of this process.
So, and it's an older historic house, and so are you leaving those dormers pretty much intact, staying in them and doors?
That's the goal.
You measure it and you know that you can.
Yeah, we had we had to go through a bidding process because the state funded, but we had a potential NWB contractor up there to measure and approve that it's viable.
And then getting from the deck actually into the building, you're going to remove, I guess, 3-foot sections of the existing historic cornice, overhang, it looked like, so that you can get it. I don't have the drawings in front of me. I guess. There they are. Right. So there's a section of cornice, decorative cornice that goes around the building, right? Right there. And then we build up, it looks like from the plans, you guys are going to remove.
Yeah, that little section of the deck.
Is it gonna be the whole section between the whole width of the new deck, or is it gonna be? I guess what it's a beautiful building, and I'm hoping to get enough of that, as much of that cornice can be preserved and left in place as possible.
That's a better question for you. But Dave's question.
Okay.
My name is Adam Patel, I'm a project architect.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
I'm wondering how much of that cornice is gonna be removed when you install it.
The intention is to use the two windows that are there as the doorways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as little of the cornice as possible would be removed. I'm not sure that outside the roof is what we need to achieve that.
Well, it looks like the bottom, like the top part, those windows will stay there. You're gonna use that whole bottom accent piece that goes all the way around the corbels, that all gone exterior of that building.
So where I circled right here, I'm just wondering if you're gonna remove that, because that's where the deck would be. right?
Yeah, so I think we would locate the deck either probably right below it, and then just kind of cut out what necessary for the doorway, not remove the entire cornice.
The only other question I have is, and perhaps I can get Wayne from the planning department on this, in GC1, there's a density requirement of a certain number of square feet of lot space per unit. So that, I don't know if that's something easy there.
Because then, okay. We're not.
The zoning board gave relief on that?
My feeling is as long as enough, as much as store or detail on the building is left, as is possible, and then obviously find a way.
Karen, as long as you're there, you have comments on this project?
For the record, Eric Work, Budget Officer, City of Glens Falls. So a couple things came up with this project. One of them is that because it is a fire code, we need emergency lights, the access signs, signature within 50 feet in all the common areas. It will need 2 means of egress because we're hitting the 3rd floor. Units on the 3rd floor, it's going to need the 2nd means of egress. And that was kind of my question: what's the status of the stairs? I had a question if the stairs are even needed. They are needed, so we need the 2 means of egress there. Just say park is the building sprinkler.
So the building's not currently sprinkled, but the sprinklers are required for this project. So if we're not able to achieve our means of egress, we would provide sprinklers.
Okay. So that would be one of the exceptions, as long as the code pass zone matches, if it's fully sprinklered, the max value pass is at 325 feet, which is a single means of egress. So one of those two would have to be
Just one question, the sprinkler, I believe the exit pad has the sprinkler.
Yes.
That would mean the deck would have a sprinkler,
Yes.
so that's a huge lift for the project, because meters.
I think we'd be able to provide wall-mounted sprinklers that would sprinkle out from the building area to deck.
Yeah, as long as you can have some, but, I've seen them done in other places, and, falling trees and things like that, so this is something to be aware of.
Yeah, I think we can locate the pipes inside the building and have the heads outside, but yeah, there's solutions for that for sure.
Okay.
So that way you just have the exterior on the third floor.
I'm sorry?
That way you just have the one access to the third floor.
Yeah, right now the second stair that's inside the building, I guess the first stair that's inside the building, it's not really in the right spot to be able to use it as a second means of egress for the new units or the existing second floor units, so we have to do whatever's necessary to provide more means of egress into the new deck.
So I guess I have a clarification question. So because on the application it said we're going from 2 apartments to 4. So is the current occupancy class like an R3 and we're going to move to an R2?
It's currently used as a 2-unit building, but it's listed as a 3-unit. So we're basically splitting the third unit into 2 to make it a
Are you asking a question
Like
about state building?
Yeah, so it's like the code classification. Like I'm trying to understand if just the fire code applies or if you have an occupancy change of the full building is going to have to be brought into compliance with the building.
I'm not sure about that off the top of my head. I'm not sure why the remainder of the building wouldn't currently be at current code requirements, but
Well, if it's an R2, that's sort of lower thresholds.
yeah, I think the requirements. I think the requirements for there's off the top of my head some of the requirements that might be kicked into play, for instance, fire separations between units, and those either likely exist just given the nature of the floor makeup and the ceiling makeup, or we can provide that between the units certainly, as well as any kind of common walls or floor ceiling assemblies that are required between the units.
I just suggest it would be useful for you to understand that, clear on that before moving too far down.
Right.
Because it's going to have implications.
Sure.
No. Unless you guys got questions.
So it's either they have to have 2 means of egress or that building's in that district.
Fully sprinkled with a max travel distance of 125 feet.
Is it 2 means of egress to the second and third floor, or just the third floor?
The whole building.
Mr. Morris here.
Okay, I'm trying to understand that. So on the second floor, will they just have one address to the deck? Or do they have another front there? Oh.
Third, Mr. Preston, comments, questions about the structure?
The only other thing, like looking at the plans, it was unfortunate that like the deck elevation didn't show the building sort of behind it, so that I guess the architectural question would have been more clearly answered. Because I was also wondering about we thought through, it looks almost like that master roof lines don't land right on the deck, so how are we dealing with like sort of water and snow runoff from the roof?
Yeah, I think
There.
there's a number of things happening 3 floors up in the building on the outside that we just have to take a look at in person directly. But certainly no one has any desire to eliminate any kind of cornice details or anything. So I think we look at the most delicate touch possible, if even necessary. And I think gutters and things like that might already exist up there. So we look at ways to manage it that don't involve having to kind of delete from the building.
Here, just take careful consideration of how you're managing that, the water, if you want to introduce a pattern of water.
Right. Right now, there's currently open windows for the water. We'll fix those.
The 3-story deck is on the back of the building.
Yep, it's on the back. If you look at SE02, it has what we're calling a rear elevation. It's a side box, so it's a little bit hard to call one elevation, I guess, the rear.
And the third deck does not have a roof over
Not as drawn out,
So you're not gonna put a roof
no. No. I think there'd be ways to shield the entrance doors to the units, whether it's just kind of the small dormer rooms that exist now or something just to kick water away from them, but we're not planning on covering the entire sweeping deck.
And the front elevation is gonna be, how are they gonna have two forms of egress on the first floor? I can figure that out.
I believe they're not, that's why we would likely be pursuing the sprinklers. In the event that the sprinklers were, untenable for the project, we pursue a way to make that second stair that's inside the building now viable.
Okay, but as it's drawn now, what you're seeking approval of today is the three-story deck, so that will require you to do sprinklers.
It seems to be yes.
Of the whole, I don't know.
Mr. Raymond?
So the entire the stairs and the deck, that's all going to be new? So the
Yes.
existing is off?
Correct.
One of with 4 apartments there, do you provide parking with each apartment? Is there enough for like 4 cars or 6? Is there going to be like 1 car per apartment?
Oh, no, they did go to the zoning board about a variance for the parking spaces.
Oh, okay.
So they have 5 and 6 spaces.
Zoning board allowed, doesn't seem like there is, they gave them the variance.
Okay.
I thought they gave a variance for the square footage.
Square footage, parking, and front, rear and front yard setbacks.
This board has jurisdiction over parking. This board has jurisdiction over parking. Not the CBO.
I can look at it instead. We did refer them to the zoning board because they did not meet the minimum number of parking spots per the code.
Right, and that's what planning board usually use. We have jurisdiction over parking, not the
You do, well, my understanding was that because they were deficient in their number of spots, they needed a variance from the zoning board.
Doesn't need a
They're not a waiver.
Thank you.
Okay, this is in Oxford Department, so 220-26 says, no certificate of occupancy shall be issued for the building or land use until the required off-street parking has been established or a variance has been granted therefrom by the zoning board of appeals.
So there are 5 spaces, there's 25,
Where are the 5 spaces?
Are they all along the back?
So if you look at SPO1, which is our site plan, we've got there kind of was a U-shaped driveway that connected both streets, so parking would be in that driveway.
But there's no way, like, if you're in this car in here, you're gonna go knock on somebody else's door to get out, and get the first car in there.
Yes.
So the cars are kind of stacked in there, like you say, so last in is the first out. Right? So if I'm parked in, I gotta go get another. Is that an acceptable?
So presently, when the tenants are there, I park there to go rent the monthly rent, and I can pull all the way through because it's wide enough. So it's tight.
You can go around the other cars.
And it's super tight. Finally.
So I guess the only other thing I have, so this would be provisional on the sprinkler system being installed. That's all it was.
Yeah, the only thing I added prior to the system, it's not a fire control stairwell, it's an open wooden combustible stairwell. I think there are going to be a lot of issues when you try to put a strict foot of that. I think it's going to require, that's a required rating. But again, if you work with the building codes and fire department, I think, they'll tell you exactly where to go. But I believe you're going to have more issues than represented here. regard to that.
Are you gonna change anything on next year, you know, paint it or anything like that?
The same time, except the doors, the windows and everything.
What's the plan for garbage? Because you're gonna increase the amount of garbage and your hands all over it.
Are you gonna do something different with the garbage?
If the city needs us to, but it seems that we right now, in this first front one, you can kind of see where the current tenants use,
Yeah.
and then perhaps put some on the back or the side for the new tenants. We haven't gone through that thoroughly, but if they're studios, there's going to be small garbage cans, I'm not overly concerned.
You can see in this picture that it shows, these are overflowing now.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
And critters are gonna get in there, it's gonna be,
These are Google pictures from around 2000, old.
but still, it's the same site, right?
If
It's a
they-
Google picture, but that's what's going on.
Right.
And it's not made up, or, added in there.
I think it might be nice to have one spot where all the garbage is put, so you don't have some on the side, some in the front, you know.
So we can provide like staging area for the garbage on the long side of the building, on the inside, let's call it.
And then it really,
I think that
where's
was
the
better
snow?
in the neighborhood.
What's
I
that?
think that was better in the neighborhood. But you'll have double the amount if you have double the apartments.
Some corner, some design.
Does there have to be space on site for snow?
Yeah.
Or
It's
is it
just
just,
out the street, it's gotta be, it's gotta be somewhere.
so you're assuming everything's just gonna be pushed out into the street?
No, no. I mean, we have tenants that are living currently, and this goes pushed to the side, and there's ample space.
Right. But I guess this goes back to this whole parking thing, you're gonna put 4 or 5 cars, you already said it's tight to get around, you're gonna put 3 or 4 garbage totes. I mean, you're really stuffing a lot into that L-shaped driveway. I mean, 4 good-sized totes are the size of a small car, as far as like, say they're gonna take it, they're gonna have the garbage totes.
Yep, so I think the garbage could exist, call it north or south of the Bilko door where the existing stair out the side of the building. So you could kind of hug against the building and then drag out for trash pickup. And I would say in terms of snow removal, the shape of the driveway is not changing, essentially. So the snow removal currently doesn't seem to be an issue. Nothing would change it right now.
But I think, I don't know if it's applicable to this case, but I know there's much more interest and concern now with, the separation of our sewer and our regular sewer and stormwater runoff and runoff into the street and that type of thing, so I just don't know. To me, I guess you would just have to assume that everything's gonna go across the street. So, is that,
Wouldn't all the snow melt at the same location?
when the snow melts, there's no problem. I'm talking about when there is snow. Say we get a foot of snow, you've got to clear those 4 or 5 cars out of there. You've got to get the dumpsters out of there, and then you've got to push the snow somewhere. What I'm saying is you're probably pushing it somewhere now that might be frowned upon now. Because again, I mean, you cannot have a driveway now that is sloped towards the street. Now, this one here is grandfathered. But, I guess my concern is, like I said, we're packing a lot into that driveway, which you've already attested is pretty tight to navigate now. So, I mean, I guess that's what we're asking. Snow isn't thought about this time of year, because it's even freeze out, but, at some point it's gonna become an issue.
Yeah, we're gonna probably be adding more cars. But the biggest thing is now, we can't vote and approve something with conditions like this, so we're gonna have to see, and kind of have to correct me if I'm wrong here, that we've had issues in the past when we voted and approved things with conditions, that we're gonna have to see a plan, a revised here with the sprinkler plan and with this stairway, that it's all up to code before we can vote to approve this. Okay, we're not against this, but we can't vote to approve this and say that it depends upon sprinklers being installed. That's a condition.
I mean, I would say the real condition is that all requirements of the building code would be met for the projects.
What's that?
I would say the condition is that the requirements of the building code would be met for the project, and I'm not disagreeing that sprinklers might be necessary, but we have done a thorough code review to determine that they are. So I don't think though
I'm
that,
sorry, Aaron, I thought where is he? Lieutenant Ward, he just said it's a 3-story, you need 2 means of egress to each unit or a sprinkler system. He just said it.
That's a building department issue, because they're gonna have to approve those drawings.
No, I don't want to approve anything if I don't know if there's going to be a sprinkler system or not.
It won't get built, if one is required, it won't get
Well,
built.
I'm still
Well,
back on the parking because if you look at our code, 220-26D6, alternative off-street parking standards to those below shall be accepted by the planning board if the applicant demonstrates that such standards better reflect local conditions. We've always had jurisdiction over the plan over parking when it's part of the site plan review. And the section of the code that you refer to has to do with new uses and new buildings.
our alternative parking solutions, something such as off-street parking or an agreement with someone else. But we're not proposing any alternative parking solutions.
No, you don't have enough. You're
But
supposed to
that
have 6.
seemed to be a zoning board issue.
Would we need to see a scale drawing of more cars parked in there, where the dumpsters are gonna go?
Where the snow removal is, where the dumpsters are, the actual parking spaces.
So the parking spaces are dotted in as 9-foot by 18-foot rectangles, which is a parking spot and an municipal lot in the mall or something like that.
I guess the confusion is, at one point you said that they were gonna be stacked in, and you had to go get your neighbor out of bed to get up there, as opposed to you're saying they need to park around the property line. And if you go to get the mortgage, you can swoop through them. So are they gonna be all tacked in the back, are they gonna be laid out along the adjoining property line, so you do have a pass through there? I mean, I guess those are the questions that we're asking.
I think what Adam was saying is that the tenants park, and the reality is that there's room to navigate around the parked cars to get in and out if you needed to.
Where are the parking spaces delineated?
On SPO1, there's it's a little hard to see, I guess, maybe light, depending on your print, but there are
There's like a white shaded dash.
There are 5 18-foot vehicles dashed in.
On ST1. Oh, that's not showing.
No, it's not on mine.
It's not on my
Or so they are along the property line.
So they're right here.
Yeah, it's on here.
I'm not sure you can't see these, but this is where they're.
Now, the only question I have, and this is going back to the table, would be, right now we're approving a wooden deck, it's an impossible deck with sprinklers in it. I don't have the code with me, I believe when it goes for code review, it may require a fire-resistant construction, and it may require it to be fire rated against the house and with the sprinklers. So the issue I have is, we're approving something that you have to back up anyways, because it's going to be a completely different construction than we're proposing today. So beyond the cars, and now we're talking about a physical part of the building, that my opinion is right now, that we can't approve because we don't know what we're approving, because if it doesn't meet code, it's going to have to be approved as something else.
So I'm not sure I respond, only because you're not sure if it needs to be a different type of construction, right?
Yeah, that's correct, but apparently, there hasn't been enough overview done by your own commission to determine what has to be built. So,
Well,
I believe that you have to know what's going to be built prior to being able to prove it is going to work.
Okay, I mean, I'm fairly confident in type 3D construction, which is 2-hour structural walls. Or actually, this is type 5D, excuse me, it's all wood already, so there's no fire requirements or no fire protection requirements like in type 5D construction, so I would presume that combustible means of egress, it's the same as a wooden stair inside. Right?
That's absolutely correct. Now we're throwing in sprinklers into that equation. As far as
Yeah, so now it's
as far as
a type 5D sprinkler building instead.
Aaron, can you add to this or clarify, please?
I caught part of it, Mr. Chairman, the sprinklers for the decking.
yeah, the sprinklers, the decking, I think is in a sprinkler building, usually the stairwells are required to be of non-combustible construction. So an interior stairwell, even though it's type 5 construction, it's still required to have a water resistant rating in the stairwells with the sprinkler system. And although the lower fire rating, right now we have a deck that has no fire rating, it's going to sprinkler, and I just don't know how the code does that.
I'm 100% sure, I'd have to look, but I know the last deck we looked at, that was part of the means of egress, when we were looking at sprinkler systems, the deck still had to have a 1-hour fire rating. The means of egress, the stairwell still had to have 1 hour because it was sprinklered, when it was non-sprinklered, it was at least 2. So again, 100% sure, I'd have to look, but I'm almost positive everything in the means of egress, especially even with the sprinkler system, still has to have a fire rating too.
And that's my concern, is that we're proving open possible deck when there's a good chance, a very good chance that ultimately that can't be built.
And I think we need to see a plan with all of those things, you know, the buildings, and when we're looking at it, we can see, you know, and once we determine what it needs to be, that's it. We'll see what it looks like with the doors up there, we'll see the parking.
Yeah.
So I think we need to see that.
So just so I can make sure we get everything that is being asked for. Snow removal or snow, handling of snow, garbage staging. I'll make the parking spaces darker so everyone can see them. We'll do a more thorough code review, I suppose, on the deck itself, as well as changing occupancy and things like that to see if there's
Floor
any.
egress on one,
I'm sorry?
yeah, third floor egress on whether you're going to need sprinklers on that.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think that's all part of the code review.
Yep.
Was there anything I missed? There was a comment about, do we need to show window, door elevation details? It seemed like you were.
Well, my question, I wanted to verify, because sort of the idea was that we're going to leave those dormers and sort of dormers in place.
Yeah, that's probably, those windows aren't going to be wide enough, but
And
that's
so,
not fit.
so my question was, can you verify that those are the ones who want to
Sure.
those doors to the apartment without manipulating the sun? And yes, to Jamie's point, if it turns out that the stair has to be non-combustible, then it will be taken out. So we would want-
Potentially, yes.
That's where you land after approving the search. Show it to us.
So when, just curious, when code review is complete, is that something that is brought to this board, or is that something that's brought to the building department for, I don't want to say approval per se, but for review?
The projects come in front of the planners on the board in the city, we send them to the department. So they'll provide feedback for this board.
Okay.
Fire department,
Okay. Great.
It's not that we're doing building code review, it's that
Well,
if it looks like something may change,
Drastically.
then that will drastically change the look of what we see before
22-20 represented by SRA engineers seek architecture review approval for the expansion of an existing commercial use. You are.
Good evening, Eric Samblody from SRA Engineers. The purpose of this project is to expand the service department at the Romeo Toyota on Broad Street in order to keep up with demand. We're here for architectural review. I'll just real briefly run through some site plan stuff, but just because the project did receive a variance from the zoning board for lot coverage. The lot is fairly well covered already. The variance was for existing 89.1% coverage and proposed 90.3. So it's a small change, but it's still far exceeds the minimum. And because stormwater on the site is completely infiltrated, it does not meet the site. That was a mitigating factor for that decision. The addition does meet all of the setback requirements. It was specifically designed to just meet that. We were tasked without losing any parking on the site at all. That wasn't quite physically possible. We're losing 6 spaces, but it still far exceeds the code requirements. But square footage on the lot is still at a premium, just due to the use as the car dealership. There is a stormwater pipe that is a city-owned infrastructure that passes through the property. That is going to have to be relocated in order to accommodate the addition. We've been coordinating with Jeremy Schneidel and Phil Cohen on that. After we get through planning board, zoning board, then we'll get down into details on satisfying their requirements. And since this is here for architectural review, I will hand this off to Trevor Flynn from Flynn Design Group, the architect on the project.
Trevor Flynn with Flynn Design Studio. Can everyone see the board as well? So if you're looking at this, we do have our existing drawings. I'll jump right to the proposed elevations. So this is probably the most crucial part is you'll see on the proposed front elevation that you'll see from this point on is the existing dealership. And really all we're adding is these 2 bays to the right. And in general, we're keeping all the materials the same. We're just continuing the facade along, all the same glazing, lighting, signage. None of that is changing. All we're really doing is just extending the building. Also from the right elevation too, you'll see, again, this does protrude out slightly further, and this goes back on 45. And then we added roughly another, I think, 16 feet or so on this portion. Again, this existing, I'll show you, it's really not changing that elevation. So number 2 on sheet E201 is the existing elevation. We're basically extending and reusing that portion of the facade as we pull it out. And then apologies, these aren't in color. I believe you guys have some color copies, but again, this section right at this service area, these 2 bays is what we're pumping out, and then you'll see it steps back as you go further back. And here's that better view that from Roberts Street.
Would anybody from the public like to comment on this? Nina?
Yeah, I mean, having, assuming that, they're all saying these lot coverage considerations and site considerations have been approved, and you're basically using the same panel materials, you're doing the same, I have no architectural concerns, it's a pretty minimal bump out. We'll have 2 more garage bays on the main road, but it's a
Yes. Yep. And as far as your comment, as you drive by, I drive by this a lot. It's kind of funny, you really don't even see most of the
Yeah, it's
facade
not really
because of
bad.
all the cars. So I think it'll be a very minimal visual effect. Yes.
Aaron, any issues with fire department concerns?
Just basics, but no concern.
Okay, everything that comes under code. Mr. Morphus?
The only question is, will you still be able to drive on the right hand side of the building?
Yes, it'll be tight, but that's where we're losing the parking spaces.
Will fire trucks be able to get through there, Aaron?
Yes, it's still a 12-foot lane.
Oh.
The wall pack lights, they look like they're very horizontal throw. Is there a different fixture that could be a more downward throw on the light? Just for the ones that are.
Are they matching on the building now?
Yes, they will match the existing lights on the building, and they still have to provide enough movement in the area for security.
Okay, so just want to make sure you're not like throwing like on the east elevation facing Robertson Street. Where there's
No, they will still be downward facing, but they do have to project far enough in the parking lot area, but it won't be floodlights directly projecting out.
Sure. Mr. Landry?
Just got a quick, was the paperwork all, as far as the officers, that's all set? And I have no questions.
It fits in with what's there. You guys, they must be doing great business. They want the addition, so more jobs in there. Project. Okay.
Procedure.
Yeah.
This is a page two. It's on there. I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Planning Board acting as the Board of Architectural Review hereby grant architectural approval for the project identified as AR 26-003 Romeo Toyota Glens Falls, lessee of 163 Broad Street, tax map number 309.7-12-20, for approval of the expansion of an existing commercial use, adding 2 additional bays.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Site plan review, SB 26-016, architecture review, AR and architecture review, AR 26-004, Carol's LLC, lessee of 1 Moore Street, tax map number 310.5-2-6, site plan review and architecture review, approval for proposed renovation to the interior and exterior of the site, including restriping existing parking lot, site improvements and landscape. Okay, welcome back.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shane Conroy here from Dynamic Engineering on behalf of Carol's LLC for the site plan review portion of this application. So as Allison passing those around, I brought with me this evening an updated site plan rendering exhibit based on the site plans that were submitted towards approval of this application. Following our last meeting, just so we don't have to go through the existing condition again, as everybody's familiar with the site, we were here last month. Different from the rendering you see before you and on the exhibit board behind me, our team had a call with Ms. Gaddy to my right and the city's design consultant for the East End Rising project to discuss the public plaza improvements that were raised at the last board meeting. During that call, we came up with a conceptual design that is shown on the rendering as well as the site plan submitted with the application.
As part of that design, and as was discussed on the call, we are anticipating raising that plaza area 1 to 2 feet, as well as increasing it inside by approximately 200 square feet. So with the improvements come a new ADA. So as you see before you, with the new plaza area, again, it's conceptual. Our team is committed to working with the East End Rising Committee towards coming to a final design, but as discussed in the last meeting, we did want to prepare at least a high-level concept of what it might look like, just so everybody can get their eyes on it. But included with the plaza improvements are 2 new connections to the public sidewalk on Glens Street. One provides a set of stairs, and the other provides an ADA ramp with a handrail to provide an accessible route to the new plaza area, as well as a new decorative area light to provide adequate lighting for both pedestrian safety and security reasons for the site. Surrounding the new plaza area, we anticipate, and again, we'll work with the East End Rising Committee, but some low-lying shrubs to provide some landscaping, but not totally screen off the area, as well as landscape buffering area to screen the new improvements from the restaurant and vice versa. And then surrounding the new area and to tie up to existing grades, there will be some kind of seed wall or retaining wall with associated fall protection, just since there is a great difference from lifting up that new plaza area. So with these improvements, we are still reducing the impervious coverage compared to existing conditions by approximately 380 square feet. Again, this is a conceptual design that we will work with the city's planners and professionals to finalize.
Thank you for doing this, working with the city, and working with our community on this. I really appreciate that. Of course. Nina?
Yeah, I mean, the big difference from what we presented last time and essentially making that little plaza street facing makes it occupied in all kinds of places. And it's now belongs to the circle, which, I think everybody appreciates. And I guess I have one question about seat walls and retaining wall. Just what's the highest drop on retaining wall? Like you're burning that up, so.
Yes, so at the page top side, the grade difference is approximately 2 to 2.5 feet.
Right.
So that will have, whether it's a fence or maybe a decorative railing, something there to provide adequate fall protection.
Decorative railing on the seat wall or something like that.
Something similar, we'll work with the city's professionals to finalize how that all comes together aesthetically and functionally.
You show brick border around it, and break that brick border be the same kind of brick as the brick that's along the sidewalks downtown.
Yes, that's something we can work with the city
Yeah.
professionals on.
Instead of
This
really
is-
connected.
Yeah, this is a conceptual design, and it's what
Yeah.
it could look like, and we'll work with Allison, our design consultant.
Are there going to be benches provided, that yet, or is it just sort of open? Are there plans? And I guess my bigger question is benches, garbage cans, is Burger King going to maintain that space, or how will that work?
That's something we can coordinate with the city post-approval. As the design continues to evolve, this is a conceptual layout to show that, the applicant does care and they are willing to improve the space and work with the city to make it something that's, pleasing for both parties.
And maintain, right?
Yes, exactly.
And then you've mentioned lighting, obviously we need lighting for safety, and I was wondering what kind of lighting you were thinking. Do you have to light the ramps and the stairs and the space itself? You thought about?
Yeah, and that's something I think from an aesthetic perspective will work as part of the overall design process. Up that space, what the fixture looks like, and still make sure that it provides adequate
sort of being conceptualized as a little park, something that is inviting. We're gonna get a lot of like street lights anyway, but safety obviously, inviting things.
That area has those streetlights around, off the streets.
Yeah.
Something that covers that.
Yeah, or bollards or something like that.
Yeah, it'd still be nice to be able to look at, you can walk down there and have my original chicken sandwich and sit there. It's still Burger King.
Get your Whopper.
Yeah, I'm the original chicken.
But it is, there's no path directly from that to Burger King, this is its own thing.
Yes, it will be separated and.
No, I mean, I think I like it's adding real estate to people's pedestrians use in our town. I didn't have any other questions on that element of it. Order, those rights, so I guess we'll talk about Burger King itself afterwards.
Paul Morris from Skyline Technologies will go through the architectural portion of the application.
Mr. Morris?
Only question I have with this shrubbery, is it going to be low shrubbery?
It's anticipated to be low-lying shrubbery along Glen Street, which we'll work with the city to come up with a planting list to, again, increase the aesthetics and soften the hard lines of the restaurant as part of that space.
It's important because some of the shrubbery is overgrown and there's places for people that have garbage. It'd be nice to have it low enough so that it can be maintained.
It sounds like what I'm hearing here is that you want us to approve this and conceptually you're going to work with the city all pretty much across the board on this.
That is correct.
So we've had a lot of, criteria that we talked about with making it so it can all be seen and not, no one's hidden in there, accessible. You guys have gone out of your way to really work with us on this.
Yes, and we will continue to work.
But I think what we're looking for now is to get it so you guys can move ahead and then work conceptually with our city planners on what was actually going to be done there.
Yes, again, this is the conceptual layout, and as it continues to evolve and change, we work with the city and professionals to really finalize that design.
You good?
I guess just to build on what's already been said, I guess my question is it still too far from the street? I mean, one of the problems with the existing site is that it's not clear what it is. Is it public, is it private?
Yeah, I think.
It's sort of a no man's land, which is why at least, so I just want to make sure we're not creating a problem by like making it not clear what this
Raising that
is.
part, will help out a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm almost wondering if you bring it closer, make it more part of the streetscape, and make it look like.
Yeah, and I think a portion of that may be due to the existing access points where the existing accessible route to the plaza space is actually through the Burger King front driveway. So in visiting the site, it is tucked away more so off of Glen Street, whereas under the new conceptual design, the access points are shifted from being almost within the Burger King site to immediately off of the Glen Street sidewalk. So the intent behind the relocation of the access points was to promote the space and offer a welcoming route rather than having that access point be more so tucked away behind some perimeter landscaping.
Yeah, but I think we all want to improve public safety by improving visibility. Visibility will be further improved, just a little bit. It's still a little offset. But that those are details we can work out, that's just my sense.
But it is still owned by Burger King. So
Yes.
when the architect asked who's going to maintain it, Burger King maintains this.
We can, we'll work with the city towards some kind of maintenance agreement or maintenance procedures that falls under, Burger King's responsibility. That's something we'll work with the city on.
Okay, well, we're not
sidewalks are broke, cracked, the retaining walls are caving in. There's huge issues with what's currently there.
Right, so if we get a new product, if they don't want to shovel it in winter time, that's private property, they don't have to shovel.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. I think, we're getting into something else, something
Yeah.
that do we really need to worry about? It hasn't been maintained in 4 years, that becomes up to a code issue.
Yes.
That's a code enforcement issue. They're working with us to design this, to create something really nice here that's more accessible to the public, but in the end, it's still Burger King's property, and if they don't want to shovel it in winter time,
And I
put a
think,
sign up, say close for the winter.
I think our initial discussions about this piece was to, address all the concerns about the site, the accessibility, the darkness, the lighting concerns. So as it stands, I recommended just a simple design of what can be done at the baseline level.
Right.
Because the East End Rising project, the timing is quite different than what, the applicant is looking for. So if it's approved as is, and they make these improvements, and then later down the line, design is done on East End Rising, that would be an additional improvement,
I mean, they could address our concerns regarding that space in a lot of ways. And I think it's a potential, really great improvement square. My feeling is it's still Burger King property, so it is the responsibility.
Well, I don't think we can judge this project on past performance. Obviously, the code was never enforced before. And like I say, this is private property. 99% of, Mr. Golden, we call it the bunker area where it's all there, that's all gonna be gone. So I think, we can't go back and say, okay, for the past 25 years, it's been horrible. And a safety hazard, things like this, we just gotta, come up with a better solution for it, but then we gotta make sure the city does maintain, inspection. Because again, it's private property, and I think, other than a little bit of a jog, 97% of the area that we're concerned with is Burger King. So to me, that's almost like a code enforcement action after the fact.
Mr. Chairman.
No, actually, I'm in favor of that. It's going to be a huge change. The only thing the maintenance issues are, I believe in the design elements, the easier to maintain, or the better off we're going to be in. The one that's there now, and was built there, is a very difficult to maintain. It has retaining walls, sidewalks, water problems, there's a ton of issues, design elements that make that end up the way it is today, overgrown shrubbery, there's retaining walls and things like that. So I think the design elements you put into this when it's finalized, I think that the simpler they are, the easier they can maintain, will be better for everyone. I think from a visual perspective, for everybody that goes by in the city, and a maintenance issue for everyone.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
The other thing is too, I'd like to bring up the fact that, I personally appreciate the fact you changed the design detail on the roof. You did bring up.
That's a different.
I know it's a different thing, but, okay, so if that's that's the next. Okay.
No, anything else?
I appreciate where we are right now. The Carol's in, the firm, everybody's willing to work with the cities. I know it's a lot more work on you to work with them and coming up with a good project here. It's amazing where we've gone in a month here for something that's been a problem for the city for 40 years. It's still a private piece of property that is going to be better for all of us. Again, the maintenance and stuff comes up as a building and codes issue, code enforcement, so that's not, how do we approve this without shrubs and different things work out in the future?
I mean, it does say low lying shrub, so I mean, whoever does the motion, this little plaza area is surrounded by red brick to match the sidewalk, from what I've seen.
You're the
Looking
wordsmith.
at the drawing, and it says there's a proposed seating wall, there's going to be a decorative lighting, 3.5-foot high fall protection railing, 2 sidewalks for entrance, 1 ADA compliant.
Sounds like a motion.
Well, this is all good in the application already.
And then I would just advise the applicant that if they end up deciding to do something different with the sunrise committee, they would need to come back to the board and then.
So the modular block retaining wall, is that going to be painted?
So those blocks have different color
Colors.
finishes. So depending on the product, they have different colors.
Are you, you're showing like a gray color here, is that kind of what you're thinking?
Currently, yes, but should the board want a different color, or a different product, that's something we can incorporate.
I mean, I hate saying, well, it's better than what was there before, but that's not it, it's way beyond what was there before. I don't have any issues with it.
Do you know what kind of railing you want to have? Is it like black, iron, or cover rail, or metal railing, maybe?
Yeah,
Metal,
like a metal.
black metal railing.
Good.
Part of the site plan review was also the drive-through, right? You want to walk the drive-through part?
Is that really changing much?
From the last meeting, that has not changed. The revisions to the plan were with respect to the public plaza area. So not much has changed, or nothing has changed since the last meeting. But under the existing conditions, it's a Burger King restaurant with a single lane drive-through. Under, as part of the proposed improvements, the single drive-through lane is to remain with the drive-through equipment being updated and brought current with current Burger King brand standards.
So it's staying the same way.
That is correct.
Do the site plan?
Actually, I have a couple of things.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't clear from the plans, but left and right of your entry drive, there's some displaced sidewalk slabs that are tripping hazards. It's not clear if those are being replaced as part of this project or not.
Currently, the limits of the sidewalk improvements are shown as part of the public access to the storefront. Are you referring to?
Yeah, exactly. Those two areas left and right of your driveway, there's some substantial displaced concrete slabs.
Okay. As part of the site work, we can look to improve those areas as well and just bring them back to the existing conditions.
And then a couple of questions about the accessible parking. Your general notes have the minimum parking width at 9 feet, but you're showing the accessible parking spaces at 8 feet. If those need to be changed to 9 feet wide.
Those are compliant with the ADA code. The 9 feet is for our non-accessible standard parking spaces. So our ADA parking spaces
If
are.
the ADA says minimum of 8 feet, and the city says minimum of 9 feet,
It's our understanding that that applies to the regular parking spaces, not the accessible parking
I don't
spaces.
think the code says regular parking spaces. I think all parking spaces are.
And then match it.
Are there next to the parking spaces that are also the over 8-foot blank area, right? According to this.
I'm just saying, I don't see an exception. And then there's also like to the left of the accessible spaces, access aisle, but there's no access off, there's no curb cut off the back.
Yeah, so that's not the designated access aisle for the two spaces, that is just, no parking to mark that extra pin there.
So it sort of looks like an access aisle, is it worth just pulling the curb into there and making it sidewalk? I'm just worried, if someone thinks it's an access aisle, and go there, they can, and they find there's no curb. It just seemed like a strange leftover.
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense.
that's something we can discuss with the applicant, should update the plan to your parking. Work that through.
And then the last thing, sorry, on the ADA parking signage, there's like a penalty sign on the detail. I just wanted to ask if that's consistent with city codes. It's like a long list of like usually penalties, and I've never really seen that on any other signage.
Yeah, and then, so that's per the ADA code, we find information as part of the posted signage.
I don't think we have anything either way. So
I just never seen
required
it
by
before.
ADA, I would
Detail.
say we should tell them not to put it on there. Right. I'm sure we resolved the parking on the accessible spots, so I was thinking of is it configured handicap parking spaces to be compliant with the code and ADA? Yes. Yes.
And Marco doesn't differentiate.
So they may have to be manufactured.
Okay, so then we can,
You've got plenty of space.
yes, so that leftover striping area now becomes.
Good.
What's that?
Everybody else? Oh, okay.
I would like to make a motion that the Glens Falls Planning Board, acting as Board of Site Plan Review, hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Carol's LLC, lessee of 1 Warren Street, tax map number 31025-2-6, for the renovation to the single wide drive-through, in addition to the conditions that the Plaza Park area will be surrounded with a red brick seating area as designated. Will have a black metal railing, gray block, 2 ramps, 1 with stairs, 1 ADA compliant, with low-lying shrubs, so that there's adequate sight to the street. The sidewalks repaired at the driveway entrance to Burger King must be repaired to meet code and reconfigure the handicap parking spaces to be compliant with the city code of 9 feet and the ADA as presented at the meeting today, June 3rd, 2026.
Second.
And I just wanted to know this is next to us.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening. Paul Morris with Skyborg Technologies. We have Carol and Burger King. What we did was the comments you gave my colleague who appeared last month, our design team worked with the client's design team. And the changes that we submitted were to take the eyebrow and LED strip off of the front and recessed, we replaced it with recessed outlights and a cornice that mimics the cornice on 12 Hudson Avenue. The front portion of the tower on the main entrance and the drive-through tower have been buried, so we have a very building height. That was requested.
So it's not, you're not putting an additional sign onto this darker colored? So we're not going to,
So we're not getting a big burger there.
Not on that elevation, on the front is the Burger King.
burgers on the other side, right?
But yeah, amended their sign proposal to have the.
Yes, yes. So, and then you gave, on this sheet, down here it says, example downlights, and this was an alternate, eyebrow detail. Is that?
That was with the first section, I believe.
Okay. So that's not something that.
No.
Gotcha. And then on the drive-through side, just to clarify, right now as you pass by the drive-through, there's that metal shed that comes down, that's going to be ripped off, and then it will just be straight forward, right?
Yes.
Question about the bun freezer, future bun freezer that's shown on the site plan.
Yes.
What is that? And what is that?
So shown on the site plan is the future location for a potential bun freezer, which is a freestanding freezer,
Right.
so to speak, should the store need one eventually. For now, we are identifying this potential location of the installation. Will be a later date should the store require it, and then that will come in for permitting.
Okay. So we're approving that as something on the site, but in terms of, but when you guys buy this bun freezer, you're going to come in and you're going to look at what it looks like.
Correct.
The pole lights that are being proposed look like the lights on the streets now, right? And
The pole lights are existing to remain, the existing on-site lighting is to remain. And then.
what I saw in the store, I thought I saw new pole lights had in the store.
That was a detail identifying the type of light that may be utilized within the plaza area.
Oh, within the plaza there.
That is
Got it.
correct. So there's a replacement on the picture that is there now. That is a sample construction detail of a decorative area.
Right. And as far as the signs on the exterior, it's essentially, it's similar to what is there now, except the big home of walkers is not to be there anymore. And it's the same HEMAS and panels that we brought in before, and it's colors. I mean, I think it's a great improvement. It's a great improvement. Are you changing windows systems at all?
Some of the windows are replaced in height, just the drive-through windows, you can do windows themselves, not the slides.
The lighted signs, I know that this came up last time, there were questions about where they can normal night, and maybe added to that upright radar, so questions about that.
You know that yet? Are the signs on 24 hours?
That is the question.
I mean, in terms of working with a flat Burger King building, and that we've got, we've added creativity to it, and even like some articulation, materials, and the signs are not over the top, so, it would be good.
My notes from last time reflected that the lighted signs would be on during hours of operation. Is that something, yeah?
They're open all night, certainly.
Only during.
doesn't need a lot of.
I'm sorry, I missed that one.
No, they are open, but they're open all night, parts.
Okay, they're on.
So,
Ms. Bird?
I'm just looking at the back, I guess the south end of it, and it seems like that's pretty much what we have. And I think you guys did a nice job, what we asked. But this is still sort of very like warehousey, that south end of the building.
Yeah, and towards the arena?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just feel like we said last time, like, this is a great opportunity to really make this something spectacular.
Yeah, that's kind of
do
like,
you see that though?
Is that gonna be new?
Anywhere? Other than.
the problem here is you don't have to back into this building. It's surrounded, there's nights when there's 6,000 people in the arena, on this side. It kind of looks like the rear of the building. So you really don't have that, whereas maybe in some other spots, And that's the thing, I'm bringing that up. But something we could maybe dress that up.
If it's a requirement, we could, add the same detail we did on the other side.
What's that?
We could add the detail that we did on the other side.
So you could make that the vintage wood cladding, fiber cement, texture, color.
I mean, I think you've done an outstanding job with the rest of it. It really is.
Yeah, so you talking about the material on the elevation or the roof line?
Right now, on the drawing, it says clad 3, tough block, fiber cement panel, it's this right here.
Yes.
We're talking about. Is that gonna be new, or is that existing? Because I think what he's asking, and if this is gonna be new, why couldn't you extend the wooden cladding? Is an insurance out of that, bring that whole building consistent. It doesn't say whether this tough block is
Well,
wood.
technically, it can be changed, I just have to verify that in the contract. Because what they've done is they're taking their corporate design and trying to fit with what you asked for.
Right, and they've done a great job, but if you could get maybe some of that orange or something,
Right.
that,
And maybe the roof line, so like, I guess I just was hoping that when we were talking about looking around downtown, we would get something with some really phenomenal roof line, but parts that are like the splits that we never do but the top of it, I thought could be really sort of neat. So this is definitely nice. I really like this, and it's an improvement, but I'd love to see that extend back as well.
Is it a color?
What?
Are you thinking of color consistency all the way across?
Make the wood, bring that wood all the way to the back.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then the roof line too, I think, should look. Yes, the harnesses. I think that was nice.
So where it says clad 3 and the color is pewter.
Yes.
You want it to be clad 1,
I think it would look
clad
better, personally. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I think it would look better than, I just think it looks warehousing.
That looks like
It's like
a,
box.
it looks like a cinder block addition that was added on the building. Like Rachel said, if that wood was carried on through, it gives consistency throughout.
Well, with the black cornice at the top, it sets it off a little more.
Well, the cornice ends.
Um,
Well, I don't know.
No, I agree with you 100%.
are you talking to the right of the main entrance?
Correct.
Huge park right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because this is the first plan, and it looks exactly the same. It doesn't look like there's been much
Right.
change on that. I feel like that is just a big box.
So, this drawing, you think it should be changed to that vintage wood cladding, could we also extend the black cornice?
I think that would look
And that
better.
should also be on the back side of the building as well.
My thought is, again, they're redoing this.
I like the different
You know what, this is
materials.
the old, okay, this is the old one. If you look at the new one, it's up there, it's the same. No, that's not the newest. The one that's up there. I don't know these terms.
Here's the old.
Here's the old. It doesn't, but that's not showing.
Is there a new
So why should
set
we not
of,
go to the new one?
is there a new set different than what we
It
have.
is different, yeah.
And that looks better, but that doesn't.
See how that wider points, when we had it, it's there.
Yeah.
I wasn't running.
I don't know why my head.
So we got
We
the,
got put us on Monday. It's folded in fours. So yeah, I'm gonna let the rest of it.
The one there, well, we don't have the one that doesn't have that cornice over the,
This,
that one's not right, that's not what they.
That's the old,
Yeah.
oh,
You're okay, and it's the second one.
Claudia has one that's sticker.
We have that.
We have it. You just don't have it. What's the date on it? But it does look that, so the one that does look very nice. That's not.
No, that's the same one, yeah. That's not the old.
My packet has been,
So it's what you, did I, was it different today?
What does yours say? Does it show the home of the water wall,
And actually, on the south side, it has.
see yours is plain like ours? Claudia's got one, this
Here's
is
the
the
one.
other one, that's their quarters.
It's what was emailed today.
Just-
I think the corner,
The exaggerated cornice should just simply be at the entrance, but we've got, there's a decent, there is a decent coping.
Oh, so
So
you have-
already
you have the right
suggest,
one,
I don't think this should.
no, she has it right now.
no, you don't, we don't have that. That's not in my packet.
You don't have that.
So I wasn't speaking about that because I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, I watched
You
it.
have it now?
Yeah, that's the first season.
Really? So that's why I was speaking about it, because we just had enough.
Yeah, that's different than ours.
That does look very nice.
Yeah, that's different.
wow, looks great.
But it's also, it does have the gray on gray.
Right, inside. Yeah. Yeah, corners. But it's just all the red dots.
I'm commenting on that right This is much better, much better than it is.
They're at now, she drawing, she's,
Yeah,
yeah,
this-
we don't have the exact.
This should be all, so we got it.
What's that?
So this is the one that we got.
It's the same.
Yes. So where's the zero? It still has the zero.
We have a little technical issue here. I think the bottom line is seeing the final one, the laying something on the back end, and I say the back end, but there really isn't a back, because then we have the arena there, which, you know, is a huge thing in our area, it's just, nothing was there, you know, I had, the roof line changed a little bit, but it's just gray and, you know, like I said, that's the one thing with the spot, that's why it's such a good spot, is there's no downside to this building, it's all, there's people that, so,
Okay, so I take back my previous comment. Now that I have this one, but the only thing that I would say, in my opinion, would be if this just matched sort of the thickness of that, the line there, I think that would look very nice. But that's, that looks very nice, much better. So the cornice, it's the same across the whole side.
no, you gotta mix it
See
up.
how Burger King, where the Burger
you guys are all happy, or the end of the faces, the arena, just be
You
plain.
don't have that.
You don't have this?
A2.1.
You should have that
So
there.
I think
Yeah,
that.
it's right there.
Is it different?
It's the top one, right there.
Wait, do you have a different one?
I
Yeah.
know, that's,
No, that's it.
no, that's it, it's not.
Oh, it's slightly different.
Either one is here. Either one is here and here.
Yeah.
So that's completely different.
This one has something here, and this one is, yeah.
So I like this better as well.
But still, so, you like that better, but it's still just gray on that end.
You're talking about facing the
I
arena.
don't, I love it, but I like it better.
What do you think?
The roof line, I can give it to the color change and the material change in the back end of the building.
Just that one, I mean, that's not a big deal, just.
Yeah, along the roof is fine.
Yeah.
Changing the material, the color of the backside of the main entrance elevation and the rear of the building, and that can improve the color.
Yeah, this one is just to do something there.
Yeah.
Are you saying the rear of the building is the drive-through?
What's that?
No.
But
So you're talking about the end of the building? just
Toward
south
the
of-
arena.
Yeah,
When
toward
you
the,
look at it, you look at, I mean, that's,
yeah.
And also on the student zone too, I think this is pretty nice there too. I got a little, is this the real version coming down?
Yeah, we got it.
yeah, what date is on it? Just so I
They
know.
said it.
Hold on, okay. I think it was, and just, we got it in our emails on Friday. From the market.
what?
This latest version.
I know, but I picked up my packet.
Yeah.
When we pick up our packet, I don't like the computer version, I'm sorry. I like the packet.
Yeah.
513 is the.
Well, they're all dated, that's the
They're all
problem.
dated.
They're all dated 513. Except this one has option A written down in the corner and mine does not.
Yeah, mine. But this is not, this says 82.1.
That's what I have.
Allison, so when did that latest version come in?
You received the ones in your packet on Monday,
And that,
but that one,
So, I guess it is,
Oh, yes, it's-
on the floor, most
no, that's the one I have.
That's what we should get. We should be
You should be looking at, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the latest and proposed version of this option B.
I believe that this one is the latest.
Actually, I've given away my.
Other years.
Because the one that, no, that's not the latest, because there's a little block of the same color, this little, different color.
No, I understand that they're different, but the one that the client signed off on is the one that's.
The latest.
Got
It
it.
was the one that was, our copies were sent to you on Monday.
Is the one on that board?
Oh, well, these ones are.
Is this one right here, the one that's in the back?
Yes.
Well, we can only act on what has been given to us. So if they want to table it and come back with an actual drawing that they want to present, then that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah. Because we've got a lot of confusion right now.
They're all marked May 13. How could they all be May 13?
Well,
They're all different.
We can, don't you think that we can use that as a starting point, because that's what he is presenting as the final design, and then say, yes, we like it, no, we don't like it, yes, we like it, but make the coping over the gray area as wide as the coping on the other side, if that was kind of, I mean, what are the other differences? Yes.
Oh, there's roof line differences. as
Yeah,
well.
there's the, this is what I was commenting.
Yeah, I know, that's why it's too confusing to do this. We need one set of.
So I guess you said the owner signed off on that version, but this version was presented.
Right,
Can we say,
that got better.
Yeah, I don't know how that got into the mix, it should have been.
Well, it came from you guys.
Yeah, I think that was emailed for discussion purposes.
so you're not proposing
But since we're talking about something that's not a real expense, it's that aluminum composite roof rack.
Yeah, that piece, I can definitely commit to that, yes, we can do that.
You know, that's not $100,000 question. I mean, that's something, because to me, it kind of completes it. It almost looks like you stop short here.
I understand. The thing I can't commit to now is the material change in the change on the back part.
Right.
I'm done with this. This is too confusing to have all these drawings. I think we should table this and get this organized and have that, we like that one drawing there that was submitted, and I don't care where it came from, but it was submitted to us. It got emailed to us, and we have a revision and we come back. You know, can I get a motion to table this?
Sure. Let's make a motion that we table the projects. Burger King, Recreation Grounds LLC, upon submission of additional information.
Drawings. Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So this year, so you want, to come back with one that looks more like the other one? This, I know, that's what I'm saying. This is the one submitted in your packet that we were reviewing. The one that we had digitally is the one we all prefer. Would we like alterations to be made to the final?
Yeah, the other.
And I think it says option B.
Did they bring a copy for you? Did you have a copy with you?
No.
So,
So that was an option along the way, and the client decided on this.
okay, no, I'm not saying that, yeah, because that's the one she put up there, so I didn't know what you had in your packet or anything.
Yes.
Again, thank you for working with us on this. It's a big thing for our city.
Very well.
And I'm not trying to give you a hard time, just, you gotta be organized.
It's an honor.
Okay. All right. New business, site plan review, SP 26-019, Vicky Draper, manager of 197 Glens Street, second floor, tax map number 302.20-30-17, seeks approval for establishment of two unhosted short-term rental units.
I'm Vicki Draper, and here on behalf of myself, I lease the two existing apartments, and I'm going to call them Commodore. Commodore is 195 Glen, and then the door that goes upstairs to the apartments is 197 Commodore building. So I lease it from Sage Rentals, and Sage Rentals is running orders. It's all with them. It's permitted through the county for a short-term rental. The building already is on the annual inspection cycles, everything like that. And I'm here to hopefully get the new permit required by the city of Glens Falls for short-term rental.
Okay?
I haven't done anything to the apartments here exactly, it's, I mean, refurbished, so,
Have they been rented in the past, or?
They did, I actually built those around for over 10 years. I did the original working materials for them. They did have a couple cycles of long-term rentals. There's no parking for them. There's no parking. After waiting over a year, now have 2 parking spots, so that I have a permit through the city for.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this? Okay. Mr. Morris?
No, as long as we come on fire code regulations.
We always ask, and today we have our representative from the fire department here, that, if it's a code thing, if you want to comment on this, because we have a few of these coming up tonight, we have a couple of these, so. Just to make sure people are from out of the area.
So it will be inspected. You all should have the document, if you post, these are required to be posted. All the numbers are correct, the exits are clearly located. The only thing I had was the leaf, what is this one? Where the extinguishers underneath the sink, just take them out of the box and they're ready to go. That was my only comment that I really found. Besides that, with no changes, it's very simple on our end, it's just a change of use, so to speak. But they will be inspected before overtime.
The only question, so if this is the evacuation plan that gets posted within the units, it was a little confusing to read with all the shadow lines and stuff. Because I think it'd be easier if it's an emergency evacuation plan to have it be a little simpler to read. If that's.
I have a 42-inch printer, and I was waiting for today to see if there were any changes, and then I'm going to blow it up.
As long
Yes,
as,
it's
as long as it's
separated out.
legible, as long as it's legible for someone who needs to use it.
No comments.
I actually have a question. I don't know if this is the panel to ask. What is the quiet hour for the restaurants that are all along Glens? I mean, I know 10 o'clock is noise, quiet hour. I don't.
That's my street. I mean, they're open till 3.
So like the bars with the live bands, belting out.
I think they have to have the doors
Closed.
closed by 11, I think, for entertainment purposes, but beyond that, that's really the only, they can have any exterior, you know,
Do
speakers.
you know who I would call about that?
Police department, that's who would enforce that.
Any comments?
No comments.
Is this space empty now? It's going to be renovated into apartments? Or is it apartments?
No, they're.
Or is
They're
it-
not there.
Yeah.
And I saw something too about additional off-street parking is available at 12 Pine Street.
Right. And that's my next one coming up after this one, for
Okay.
short-term rental, but yeah, 2 blocks over, I own the building at 12 Pine.
Okay.
And I always make sure I leave extra space. And if somebody is gonna bring more than one car, they ask me ahead of time.
Right.
So, you know, I can plan for that. You know, every once in a while, you'll get someone from the public mistakenly park in the Clinton Avenue parking garage when they're not supposed to, so I have to make sure I have a contingency.
Okay. And 12 Pine is what building? Is that the little used to be a law firm? That was-
Yes, Jimmy
Yeah,
Confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have no questions.
I don't have any issues, and good thing for the city, you know, not people be able to stay downtown. It's a
We
commercial
shower
area.
like every night, but I don't think the others do use the word like 4 times. I don't know.
Um,
Is there a seeker for you?
No.
I would like to make a motion that the Glens Planning Board, acting as the Board of Site Plan Review, hereby grant site plan for SP 26-19 Vicky Raver, I'm sorry, manager of 197 Glen Street, second floor, tax map number 302.20-30-17, for the establishment of 2 unposted short-term rental units, with the conditions that all compliance with fire codes and that there be legible evacuation plans and continue to maintain any permits as required by Warren County or City of Glens Falls as presented at the meeting of today's date, June 3rd, 2026.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, Vicky Gregory, is that correct? Owner 12 Pine Street, tax map number 302.20-27-14, seeks approval for establishment of 2 posted short-term rental units.
These are posted.
Is it correct?
Yes. nurses, because my students, right, they want, you know, to the hospital, and then I also do short-term rentals. And I'm looking for, you know, to, get the installs permit that's required. So I know I have to move the, extinguishers out of boxes. Okay. No, okay. And again, I'll load up my evacuation plan there so that it's a lot larger, et cetera.
Pretty organized.
I'm showing 8 parking spaces, and there truly are. I've never had 8 cars there. I don't even think I've ever had 8 cars there. I think the most I've ever had is 6. So,
Mr. Leonard?
I have no questions. It looks like you're, again, very organized. I know it's a building, so, like I say, I just have a question.
Mr. Chairman?
No, no questions.
Questions?
No questions.
No questions. All right. Issues?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion of the Council Planning Board acting as the board of site plan review hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Sleepy River, owner of 12 Pine Street, tax map number 302.20-27-14, seeking approval for short-term rental as outlined at the meeting of June 3rd, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Site plan review, SB 26-021, Iron Gate Center, Inc., 2 Iron Gate Center, tax map number 309.27-4-4.1, seeks approval to expand on-site parking on 2 newly purchased properties to be demolished along Bridges. You are.
Good evening. For your records, my name is Ethan Hall. I'm principal of the Glens Hall Architecture. My name is Brad Bidwell, who's property manager for Iron Gate Center. The drawing that I have on the front board here is the existing site plan. The area that we're talking about is number 6 and number 8 Division Street. The intent here is that those 2 buildings, the demolition permits, the asbestos permits, or asbestos remediation has all been taken care of already. The permits have been issued by the building department. We're just waiting for approval to do that so we can get those taken down. The expansion would be from this back parking lot. We would utilize one of the existing driveways, widen it out to a 24-foot drive out, and then connect it back to the existing parking that's already there. We have a catch basin and 2 dry wells to take care of the stormwater. The existing garage is going to stay on number 8 Division Street, so that Brad can use that as part of the maintenance for the lot. The rest of the area is for snow storage for this new parking lot, and that's, if anybody's a member of Iron Gate like I am, if you've ever been over there trying to find a parking space, and said additional 24 parking spaces is going to be a real help. We looked at it and drove by it night before last just to make sure. There are some existing lights that are in the parking, right next to the parking area now, and you can still see between the 2 buildings, and even though there's no electricity on in either of those buildings, you can still see through. So once those buildings are gone, the lighting that's there will be sufficient to take care of that. So we're not going to have any we meet all the criteria for the zoning for cultural professional building as far as lot coverage and things like that. So no variances were required, and should see site plan approval.
No green space or
The coverage required, the minimum percent permeable is 30%, we're at 33 point.
Okay.
Almost 34.
Would anyone from the public like to comment? Mr. Morris?
I think it's a good improvement.
it's as deep as you can dig sand, and there's no groundwater issue over there, so.
So are you just repaving sort of from the existing driveway? I'm trying to understand the extent of the repaving. Is it just the extension?
Yeah, so we're starting from the existing edge of where the blacktop stops right now, and this new portion will be paved up to the apron. The apron will be a concrete apron in accordance with the city's requirements.
So there's no work to the left of that? And then, street trees along Division Street, I mean, removing these two houses, you're really sort of interrupting, like that, the visual character of this residential street. Are we planting street trees along the side? Are we,
The two trees that are out in front right now are going to stay, so we're not changing any of those.
any additional ones just to try and mitigate for this, like where you now have, you know, row of houses on both sides, now it's flat away with a commercial lot. You know, are there plants, I guess plants in addition to street trees, just to reframe Division Street?
We currently have a tree in the backyard here that could stay. We could easily plant a couple of trees back there. My plan for the facilities is some green space, a couple of trees would work, a couple of picnic tables, both for staff to utilize during lunch and breaks, and for patients to utilize when they're waiting for somebody who might be in the office. During the winter, those picnic tables would be moved to the nest, snow storage. That's all I need to call it out.
I guess the question though was, are we willing to add some more trees to Division Street in between the
Along the sidewalk.
The city won't let me add trees. If they want to put in a tree, I would be happy. We did have the city plant 2 new trees right down here
Oh,
at
okay.
the existing
There are
parking
two.
lot. 2 new trees. The tree that is in front of the gate property is an old maple tree that is absolutely beautiful in the fall. Those trees that are out there in front of the 2 houses are both staying. So I don't know if we can add a tree between the sidewalk and the street, but the sidewalk is, also.
Yep.
Sidewalk at all.
I have no issue, I like the fact that you're keeping the lawn.
Yeah.
You're keeping that green space, I think that's a good idea in any of the whole thing, so I appreciate that you're keeping green space.
Answer my questions.
Using one curb cuts, the other one.
The other one will go away.
Right, so the fire hydrant.
Yep. Yep. And that'll be filled back in with the curb.
Yeah, so you're going to curb.
Yep. We'll put grass back in between the sidewalk and the curb.
I guess there's no trees being removed. Like you say, there's a tree there.
No.
Okay, there isn't. Okay. I think the city has a plan, don't they, basically to go back and to reevaluate where trees are needed to kind of fill in the holes.
When the tree that was over here on the existing parking lot,
Right.
Division Street, it was deemed dangerous,
Right.
dying. They took that down and they planted 2 trees
Right.
along there. Trees that weren't going to grow as tall,
Right.
more ornamental trees,
Right.
and they're doing very well. Like I said, these trees are established, they're old trees. I don't
Right.
think we could fit a tree in there, but the whole street is lined with trees.
Right. Okay. No, I don't.
On the existing site, then, it looks like there are 2 trees in the corner of one of the houses in the front. You would be removing those. Are those trees or is that something else?
Those are in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And they're more like a shrub. They're right up against the house right there, right against the porch.
They're right on the corners of the porch. And those aren't, but yeah, as Brad said, those are more shrubbery. They're not tall trees.
So the only tree on your property standing is the one in the backyard.
The ones in front, you said there's trees in front of the house.
Yep. Yes.
Those are city trees.
Yep, the pine tree in the back would also stay. And we can plant another tree in the back of this house to aesthetically offset it. And that's where my picnic tables would go in there, underneath those trees.
And then again, you can contact the city and see if they want to do something more along the side.
Yep.
I have a clarification, so there's
want to be widened to be a 24-foot dry lot so we can get in and out.
When the one that comes out, you have to repair the sidewalk.
The sidewalk shouldn't have to be repaired. If it does need to be, they'll take care of that. It'll depend on what happens when they pull it out.
And we also have a fire hydrant right there, just off from that curb cut.
You're expanding the second.
Yeah,
Right, you're there.
this one at 6 is going to be extended.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one kind of issue.
What's that?
So this is all based on the consolidation of these three lots. Warren County is not displaying that it's a merge. I have not received any evidence that these lots have been merged.
Spoke to Dan Manischek.
Okay.
He's in the process of getting all that.
Okay, well, that's kind of the issue of this.
So can we not move it?
I think you could, but just.
The efficient that
It's in the process of being done. Dan just hasn't filed all the paperwork with the county.
But so, that is.
We're still gonna have to have a meeting to move property lines to merger, correct?
It's dissolving property.
There's some,
Division, even though they're
It is something right now, we have it. It should come.
but it doesn't stop us from approving this. Or not.
No, I don't think it does. I would say one thing to consider is it's not a type two, it is an unlisted based on the fact that they are doing the lot merger and the demolition of the houses. So when you do the secret, we should be considering all the impacts, including the merger of lots. So that it's one action.
Secret?
Yeah. Alright, you guys ready? This is over using short form, part two. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Or small impact? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the CBA? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walking? No.
approval of on-site parking in two newly purchased properties along Division Street with the conditions that the curb cut is being removed from one of the houses, is it number 8? Number 8, any repair to the sidewalk will be completed by the applicant. The curb cut at number 6 is going to be expanded, subject to the merger of the lots and the proper maps being filed and recorded in Warren County. As presented at the meeting of today's date, June 3rd, 2026.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thanks very much, appreciate it.
Site plan review, SB 26-022, meeting results LLC, lessee of 9 Bridge Street, tax map number 303.17-16-8. Seek site plan review approval for the proposed renovation of first floor commercial space for a wellness spa and massage therapy. You are.
I'm Christina Lumber. I'm the owner of the results on the rent space at
Tell us about your question.
There's nothing to be done to the exterior of the building, it's just the interior. There is, 2 walls that are, not permanent walls that we want to take down and create 3 different private rooms and a bathroom. And that's it.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this application? Yes, I. Okay. Mr. Murphy?
Are there any signage changes?
Currently, I don't have any signage that I'm going to be putting out. I only do clients by appointment only, but once I do decide on what I want for signage, I will apply for that application as well.
Nina, you got something?
I have no comments.
Okay.
Thanks, just a clarification on the floor plan that was submitted, so are these substantially the existing walls, or I'm not?
Currently, there's just 2 walls that are not temporary walls that are up. We want to just take those down and actually restructure the floor plan to create rooms. Otherwise, it's an open, just an open space.
Wide open.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, so if I'm oriented correctly, you're putting the new restroom sort of in front window?
Yes.
That's simply an odd choice.
If you ever go over to that space, it's very oddly shaped. There is 2 apartments, there's an apartment on the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor, and sort of, see if I can find it. Near treatment room 3, there is like a section that actually holds all the electricity utilities that go through. So to get the ADA and the other 2 treatment rooms and a private like session room to the specifications for your table and equipment and things like that, it's really the only way to map it out based on the shape of the building. It took me like 3 weeks of mapping it out to make sure that there was space for everything, because that was my biggest concern, and my biggest fight was not wanting the bathroom there, but it really is the only way to
So we
accommodate that space.
This is right out the window,
Yes.
so how's that going to work for you?
Well, there'll be a shade there.
It's not,
What's that?
it's not like a storefront.
It's not a storefront window, it's like it's a small window. It's not very,
Facing Ridge
from Bridge coming in, but really trying to map out that space for those type of rooms and the way the electrical goes through that building. It was the only way I could finagle all of that. But also, treatment rooms are private and be quiet, so when you have somebody coming in, if they need to use the bathroom, you're not going to interfere with those other treatment spaces by walking through the building or through the space either. So it doesn't work and does work all at the same time.
How many employees?
Currently, it's just me. Yes, I like the idea of bringing someone else in. I do currently travel for New York Law Enforcement Assistant Program also, so I travel throughout the state working with first responders that deal with trauma. And because that takes me away for about a week every other month, it would be nice to have somebody else in there to supplement some of that income, but currently, it's just me.
You're right.
By appointment only, yes.
That's all.
I like the idea. We should just put plants in the bathroom. No, I think this would be a great addition to the.
Thank you.
It's true. Mr. Landry?
You know what, you said these walls that have to come in, these temporary walls, they go all over the ceiling?
The current walls, yeah, they're just temporary walls.
Okay.
And they're very thin, so they definitely have to come down so that there is more soundproofing between rooms.
I'm all set.
No other business coming down, I don't have any issues with it.
I'd like to make a motion to the fire.
Fire? Oh, Eric, do you have?
Okay, I just stepped on. We'll require fire inspection prior to opening, occupancy, all the normal stuff, but also, you're gonna have anything that produces smoke or, like, all gas, okay. Do you know the building sprinklers?
There is sprinklers, yes.
Active sprinklers, because that's the other question. They may be there, but we have other buildings that they're there, they're just the systems.
I think I would have to check with you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know they're there, I don't know for that.
Okay, there's little things you have to check besides that, there's no great concerns here.
Do you want that as a condition then?
What's that?
Is that a condition then?
Yeah.
Is there a secret for this?
It's a type of, so the building purpose.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that the Glens Planning Board acting as the board of site plan review, hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as meeting results. LLC, lessee of navigation tax map number 30317-16-8. The following condition that they are in compliance with any fire department regulations as presented at the meeting of June 3rd, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
That's it?
Site plan review, SB 26-023, Daniel Breyer. Yes. No.
So he pulled the entire application.
So it's not a table, it's not
All right. Review of lighting intensity plan, SB 24-004, planning board review of lighting plan intensity to be submitted to the board as conditions of previous site plan approval. Yep. So no one here for this, we just go forward.
Yeah.
You're happy with what he submitted, you said you made a few changes.
They made I provided a memo. Two changes were really necessary, providing the cut sheets of the, and of the utility sheets, and
It's existing, so I don't know if that doesn't belong to him and if it belongs to 369 Glens Street. I don't know.
Well, he owns that too.
I know, so, right. He's not linking on, the lake's not linking onto the other properties except a tiny little bit right up here, and those are existing light poles that have been there, so.
So without showing, now that it's not showing that existing light pole in the driveway, is the driveway there?
Yeah, that light pole was the only one providing light in that driveway, and maybe it was in a foot of that lot, I don't know why it was there now, so I'll just verify.
Mr. Landry, you're the resident lighting expert. Want to start us out here?
If it meets the minimum of the 1 foot.
There's no hard, we don't have
Right.
just parameters in our zoning code. It's a recommendation. It's not super bright.
Right.
Walmart is much brighter than that.
Right.
But it's residential.
His engineer did send me a memo, right, to you that said, per your request, the entire parking lot is a minimum of 1 foot candle of lighting.
Yeah.
And that came from George Yaschuk.
I'm not familiar if like that's some kind of national safety code. We don't have a local code, but
It's a little different and depending on the use.
yeah.
Unless the municipality says what they require, it's where it will say that they want to see a foot candle minimum in the parking lot, those all sorts of things. We don't say anything specifically.
So the fact that we don't have a standard or a code is really.
But if you then look to what other recommendations are elsewhere,
Right.
it's not excessively bright, it's not
I'll tell you, living,
dark either. You know the existing lighting on that parking lot.
I live, right there. I mean, it's so bright,
Yeah.
downtown as it is. It's,
Right.
There's gonna be light coming from the streetlights, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of-
Yeah, I mean, I can about 24 hours a day I can go outside and I'm just down the street.
And it's gonna be brighter where those dashed circles overlap. Those dashes on there are the perimeter, they are the lowest light levels, and as you get closer to the street, it's brighter. So, it's an improvement over what he submitted before, because they were real dark. There were areas that were completely unlit, especially near some of the entrances and some of the parking spots, so this is more light level from what he saw.
So those standard lights are added to those areas.
No, this parking lot light has a throw, the new light fixtures have a spread that is different than, yeah.
Well, that's why you get always change it. A lot of times with the minimum lighting, it's a safety issue about just feeling safe, walking from your car there. He could always change out the heads, the existing heads into either high intensity, they can have focus lenses, either you get a different type of lens. But if we have no code, I don't know, I can't understand what the question is.
So it's the lighting plan requirement in the site plan review.
Right.
That enables this one.
There's one of the
This
things
is
that we-
broad enough that you can do this.
Right.
This is under your purview.
I think it's us verifying that he's saying that these aren't going to, one week light onto adjacent
Right,
properties.
like
That's what
so-
I think that's probably one of the main things he's
Right.
needing to demonstrate.
Light pollution is the biggest thing, and making sure we're safe.
Yeah.
Right. The lighting for drive-throughs and it's 10 times that requirements, but that's.
But also, you can
we are on close, so we've never seen that or anything.
Okay. What color are they? I don't, in other words, are they?
It would be nice if the color temperatures of those electric poles match.
Or they LED, or they gotta be LED now.
Well, I don't know what's there now, and I can't picture it in my mind. I totally.
Yeah, is it warm, is it 5,000? Yeah.
It would be,
Nice.
actually, it just occurred to me.
He's been doing pretty good on his projects, I'm sure, you know, we can put a thing on that.
Yeah, we can't just.
Yeah, I know, but we can put it, I'm sure he wants
He
to.
hasn't bought these new ones yet, he can go back to the supplier and
Exactly.
either ask to match.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that could be ready.
Right.
Or if the ones are awful.
So we can just put that as a
That's what I
condition.
say, I don't recall.
We make it a motion and we put it as a condition, if they all.
Well, what temperature do we want it to be?
What?
Well, 3,000 is conventional incandescent. 5,000 is the white.
Right, daylight.
Yeah. A lot of the new LED lights coming through are color adjustable.
Yes,
Okay.
So, you know, we can make that a stipulation where we
So why don't
can change it.
Mr. Kress, your comments on this?
Yeah, I agree, it should be consistent, it should be long tones, and if the existing lights need to be swapped out to match that standard.
S'mores?
Oh, it sounds reasonable to me. Only question is, can we pass something without a reason?
Well, since it's presented here, we can just put a couple of criteria on it.